Welcome to the beautiful Oxfordshire countryside and to Broughton Castle, the seat of the Haynes family for 700 years. And you might recognise it from films like Shakespeare in Love, perhaps from TV productions like Wolf Hall. But we're here to investigate a Roman villa that might not be far off in size from Buckingham Palace.
In 1963, a Romano-British lady was found buried in a lead-lined sarcophagus, somewhere over there. Amateur archaeologist Keith Westcott wanted to know more, who she was and why she was buried here. His researchers took him to the field next door.
When you stand in the front, you can see that this is all terraced right down to the bottom.
Where he discovered a huge villa lurking beneath a field of turnips.
The turnips have been removed and the time team assembled. We'll be using the very latest imaging technology to see if we can find out whether this field really was the site of a huge Roman villa. And of course, we've got just 3 days to do it.
I guess this is the future of the past.
The villa we're investigating is just to the south of Banbury, on the estate of Broughton Castle, a moated manor at the meeting point of 3 rivers. To the west of our site is Swaycliffe Lee, thought to have been an extensive Roman settlement. A network of roads lead to important Roman sites all along the Cherwell Valley. In fact, we're using one of them to access the dig site and our data dome. From the air, you can see the earthworks and the parch marks in the shape of a large courtyard villa. And the geophys team has already completed a survey of the northern part of the field, where we're hopeful that the archaeology might be well preserved. So on here, whereabouts are we?
We're about here now, and we're just starting to see the north range of the buildings, which will presumably continue in that direction. We've got these really peculiar big ditches. Some people think it might be a conduit running into the corner where the bathhouse might be. But the problem with it being water supply is you can see the villas on the top of a slope.
Isn't it flowing in the wrong direction?
It's flowing uphill.
Yeah.
Which,
But a pipe could go uphill.
it could do if it's pressurised, presumably.
This is very curious, isn't it? Almost like a right-angled corner there. So investigating a trench across there, because again, if it's an outflow, you can often get lots of artefacts being washed away out of the baths, down the plug hole almost.
I mean, you say baths. We're making the assumption, on comparison with other villas, that the bath is going to be in the northwest corner.
Well, it's an assumption. We've got to know, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we're thinking a sort of a second trench across that area there.
I think we can determine how elaborate was the bathhouse. You know, was it quite simple, quite plain, or was it actually quite ornate with things like painted wall plaster, even mosaic floors? And I guess it's a good place to try and find finds, coins, other kinds of artefact.
I would love to be able to find some coins or anything made of metal, because quite a lot of metal objects are really quite tightly datable.
What I think we also want to look at is the opposite corner. And that is the northeast corner there. And so the range comes up in front of us here.
You know, what you can say is because of that hump, that very visible hump, that's been made by accumulated deposits, and those deposits are still in the ground. So we've got some depth of stratigraphy under there.
And the other great thing about having all that stratigraphy is the crucial thing we've got to get in our rooms is doorways. We need to know how people are using the building, coming in and out. And a lot of villas, that just doesn't survive, and it looks like it will here.
Although the geophys looks convincing, if there's one thing Time Team's numerous investigations into Roman villas has taught us, it's to assume nothing without digging.
Should we call in the digger? Do you want to come round this way to trench 1?
So Matt gets going straight away in trench 1, looking for the villa's bathhouse.
I mean, look, Matt, you know, just Roman roof tile just literally lying around all over the field.
That's it.
I think we're going to get it quite quickly. It's almost like that eureka moment when you first take off the brown soil and then you see the stuff underneath.
This is a huge area to geophys, but the latest equipment allows John and Jimmy to move quickly. So they're surveying the rest of the villa field before they can move next door to where the stone lime coffin was discovered. Throughout the dig, metal detectorists will systematically search for those useful finds that Helen hopes will yield valuable dating information.
This is a little Roman coin, a late Roman copper alloy nummus.
The coin is a great start because Roman occupation spanned from 43 to 410 AD, and the latter part of this is considered to be the heyday for Roman villas. If the geophys is right, the villa is huge. We're hoping to find out just how big the North Range was by putting in a second trench over the hump that Neil and John identified earlier.
So we're expecting to find the outer enclosure.
Roman building material is scattered all over the surface of the site.
Yeah, this looks like it's been faced. Yeah, potential edge there. And that's just on the side of the field there. There's more building material over there. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to find some really interesting stuff.
And the metal detectorists are already making some strange discoveries.
That's horn of sheep or goat.
Yep.
And it's got this metal kind
Got a
of
weird claw.
insert. Yeah, it looks like fingernails, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean in a really vile way.
We reckon it's an insert which would have held a reed, so it
Right,
would have been
right.
blown.
So we're in woodwind territory, hornwind territory.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a shaped piece of stone, isn't it, there?
Nat is in business straight away in Trench 1.
There's a lot of stone down here.
There's a lot of stone.
Yeah.
Where he's pulling out different types of Roman roof tile.
I mean, this looks to me like a stone roofing slate. So you, in addition to getting ceramic roof, you actually take the local stone and you always like make slates. So stone roofing material, incredibly heavy. You imagine a roof, feel that. You imagine a roof of that. And that's again, quite typically Roman.
But aesthetically, because this is like the sort of tiles that one still sees in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
But how would it have sat alongside those sorts of tiles, which
This probably is a later replacement. I mean, what you tend to get in the early Roman period is roofs made of tile.
Yeah.
Then in the late Roman period, they moved to stone styles, especially around here where the stone is very plentiful.
Yes.
I mean, one of the ideas is it about, in fact, environmental issues? Because actually they're running out of wood to fire the kilns, to make the clay.
Yes.
Is it actually cheaper and more efficient to actually quarry stone than it is to manufacture ceramic tile? But certainly, the fact we've got both ceramic and stone tiles perhaps suggests a bit of history here. We've got to perhaps, you know, we're talking about some time depth.
As the villa collapsed, the rubble would have spread out and been compacted over the years. So it's quite a task to dig through it to discover intact walls and floors.
So this is a large nail which could have been used in the construction of the villa.
The other thing it could be, because it's quite big, is about fixing the box tiles to the wall.
Yes.
But look at that. So that's a Roman nail. That hasn't been seen since probably 400 AD.
Could pretty much rebuild the villa, couldn't you? You got it all together.
But so in terms of the sequence, so it would have possibly been abandoned, and then the roof has collapsed down, and so
Yeah, like you say, it's collapsed down, so we're digging the Roman villa, but in a very compressed version.
Yes.
And I imagine that after it was abandoned, a lot of the locals came along and said, "Oh, there's some good stone next door." So
Right.
a lot of it has probably been, look in the local church, it'll be half made out of Roman stone. But yeah, all the villa is down here in the right sequence, and we're finding it, yeah, from the roof down.
It's not uncommon for 99% of of the building material in Roman villas to have been removed over time. And Derek and Lawrence think they've identified some of it at the bottom of a field in an old barn.
On the corner of this building you can see a stone fence post has been built in as part of the architecture, but some of these stones could have found their way here from the villa itself, which is really cool.
Villas of this size would have been expensive to build and expensive to run, with hundreds of slaves and servants at the beck and call of the landowner. So Stuart's looking for clues to work out how the wealth behind the villa was generated. Was it a working agricultural estate or a posh private residence?
There's sort of ridge and then a dip behind it, a slight ridge behind that, another dip.
You've got a keen eye.
I've got my special glasses on.
It's like a series of steps, isn't it?
It is like a
down the
series of
valley.
steps. So this is, what's the word I want? Like a sculpted landscape.
Exactly, that's a good way of describing it. It's been sculpted by human hands, as it were. It's not naturally formed like this.
Okay.
And it looks to me as if this whole area around here, these earthworks, are telling us a story which might lead us to something like a designed landscape, which goes with a villa.
Right, so these might be the ornamental gardens, essentially.
That's
on
the
a
way.
grand scale.
These are so exciting to me because they are very, if that's what they might be, they are very, very rare indeed.
A good water supply was essential to the workings of a villa, for everything from cooking to bathing.
It's very clean, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's very clean down there as well.
Is it? Yeah.
So we've put in trench 3 over what we think might be the conduit into a bathhouse. And Corenza's working with the local group ITAS, who've been researching the site with Keith for years.
Yeah. So we've got a line of this sort of coming along more or less like that. And then can you see we've got this sort of reddish stained colouring there, just sort of patches of it coming around like that. So we want to know what that is. It might be an oven or something, we don't know. And we're not quite sure where this feature is turning back. It should be going like that. So this is the point at which we need to stop, get it cleaned up and have a look at these features and see what they are, for which we need lots of diggers to get it done quickly. So you guys up for that? Yeah. Brilliant, right, your trench awaits. A bit of Samian pottery in there.
Beyond the north wing, there's something on the geophys that could be a ditch or a wall outside the main villa complex. It could be an outer enclosure or the remains of something earlier. So trench 4 goes in to investigate.
Looks like a bit of tile.
Yeah, looks
possibly.
like it. I think we're getting to the top of the rubble now. So
Yeah.
probably keep it at that level and just widen it. Yeah, thank you.
John and Jimmy have finished surveying the main complex, and their results have revealed some conflicting data.
Wow. God, look at that.
Suggesting that the villa might not be exactly the size and the shape that we originally thought.
In essence, what we've got is now we've got the complete east range. Now, the west range is not quite so clear, but there's definitely anomalies going down there, and then a whole complex of things going to the south.
I mean, what is all that stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. So if we pull the radar in, so this is just one slice of the radar. There you can see buildings in the northern range and in the eastern range. It's not showing a lot of buildings on the south and on the west. Now, it may be because they're at different depths, or it may be they're more damaged. But we've got so many targets now.
Well, what's going on? Because as you rightly say, on the radar, it's not very distinct. So it's almost, let's try and characterise these three ranges in addition to our work there.
There's a bit more to add to that before I think you come to that decision, as it were. If we can have a look at something else, which is particularly in this area around here. What we got here is a LiDAR image. This is showing all the earthworks on the site. There's the villa with the east range there. That's the sort of complex that we're digging within. But up around here, up this valley, we've got a series of stepped ponds.
Wow.
Almost in a cascade coming down this natural valley down here. These are very clear big earthworks.
Stuart's talking about these water systems here, we've got these strong anomalies, and I'm just wondering, as Stuart had said, whether we've got a bathhouse down there.
Or indeed what that is.
Or
That's
what it
There's
is.
obviously a lot of stuff there outside the main quadrangle, as it were. We need to know something about that area as well, Neil.
I'm worried about us kind of endlessly expanding and unravelling things.
And I think we're in danger of spreading ourselves too thinly. So I think let's crack on with what we're doing for the rest of today. First up tomorrow morning, let's review the results and then think about further trenches then.
The new data presents Neil with new targets, as well as new problems to resolve. Magnetometry shows features along 4 sides of a quadrangle, but the radar only suggests 2. So are we looking at a much smaller villa, or have 2 sides been lost? Villas were often remodelled over centuries, much like Broughton Castle, which came into the Fines family in the 14th century and has been rebuilt and adapted ever since.
As a parallel to what's going on at the dig, I'm here up at Broughton Castle to explore its more recent history, only the last 700 years or so, with a family member of the dynasty that's been here all that time. Mick always used to say that architecture is vertical archaeology, so I'm going to look at the evidence.
Martin Fines, a keen historian, has been closely involved with Keith Westcott's investigations.
I know you're here for the villa, but I'm rather excited about showing you this too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Come in.
And has discovered a number of mysteries in the castle walls over the years, which he's keen to investigate.
So what I wanted to do was show you the Great Hall. Obviously, when you come in, you see this Tudor mansion.
Yes.
But inside, what you've got is this 1300 medieval hall and living quarters 1300 down here, and wrapped around it is the 1550 house.
And there's some amazing sort of arches and things.
Yes, so through here, entrances to the medieval kitchens. In this house, you get all sorts of clues. They're sort of mysteries, really. We don't know the answers, but there's clearly an arch there, some kind of window or entrance hall there, just like here. What's all this about? What did that go to? Why was it chopped off there? I don't know. But this is all part of the 1300 house.
The castle is full of blocked up doorways and hidden surprises.
But what I really want to show you is through this secret door here.
Oh, I like a secret door.
Which is nearly my favourite room in the house.
Telling a story of centuries of occupation.
So the great thing about this kitchen is that you've got 1970 to there and 1280 vaulting above it.
Oh, wow.
We're creating a photogrammetry model to see if we can solve some mysteries and find evidence of a pre-1200 house. And Derek and Lawrence are using laser scanning techniques which give us the ability to move through walls without using a bulldozer. We're into the afternoon of day 1, and vast amounts of rubble on the site are making it tough to identify actual intact archaeology. But we're starting to appreciate the complexity of building the villa on such a steep slope.
Where Mark is now is getting quite deep, but where the top trench is very shallow. So I guess what's going to happen is you're going to have a floor that's going to go along, then you're going to have some steps down to another level, go along, more steps down to another level. So we're going to begin to appreciate how the Romans have used the slope to create a sort of an architectural design.
So at some point we've got to then hit a wall or something that would have helped to kind of brace the earth against the next tier of the building.
That's right, and that's what we're looking for now.
We're over a metre and it's just rubble, rubble, rubble. And we have, though, finally got to some natural geology and what looks like an archaeological feature. It might have been where a wall cut is. So we've got our level at this end, but as Neil was saying, at some point between there and there, it's got to rise up about that high.
Exactly.
So I think what's happened is, if you imagine this sort of terrace, when the villa's been demolished, they've just tipped all this rubble down the slope and it's kind of levelled the whole thing out.
Would you have the prestigious rooms at the top, or would you have them down at the bottom? Are you going to have the view, or are you going to have the benefit of of the incline for kind of water and gravity.
You're going to be at the top, so I'm going to be up here having a fantastic view looking over my building, stretching out below me, but not obstructing my view of that amazing countryside. What you might do, lovely summer's afternoon, you go and have your bath, you change, you dress for dinner, you entertain your friends, and you all kind of sit and you look out across the landscape saying, all this is mine.
I can understand that in this setting.
Before we go too carried away, Neil,
this is poetry.
From an archaeological point of view, as somebody who has dug a few bathhouses in my time,
okay,
I don't think there's a bathhouse in that trench.
Do you not?
No. I shall tell you why. Because bathhouses, they have pili, they have tile columns. They are made out of this beautiful orangey red Roman cement called opus signinum, which is made of ground up tile, and it's very, very waterproof and very solid. There's none of that. There's no tiles. There's nothing that I would usually expect to find.
So where would you then be speculating that on this site we might then find it? Because you'd imagine it'd be with the prestigious bits of the building.
Well, maybe we're going to have to shift. Maybe it's further up the hill even.
Or it could be.
Oh no! Don't
over
don't
there.
do this to me, Neil. Neil.
It could be, because sometimes you do get the bathhouse as a separate, detached building.
So perhaps the bathhouse could be on one of the other earthworks in the field.
So you can see how that eastern range matches.
In the dome, the team are layering the topography with geophys to try to work out where the archaeology is most likely to have survived centuries of ploughing.
And that's where it starts to go across. Yeah. And we've lost it on the corner because of the slope.
Yeah.
So presumably the ditches are going to be deeper here, that's why they're stronger, and deeper there. And that's ploughed away or slipped away.
Yeah. Can you see what's coming up?
You found my wall?
Yeah.
Back in Trench 1, we finally have our first signs of an intact villa wall.
So we actually have now, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4 stones in a line?
That is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, another one there.
Another one coming up.
It's a lovely. They're absolutely and perfect. They haven't kind of wobbled or been knocked or anything. Beautiful line across there.
But the other thing I would like to ask is, if we push further down, will we find a floor beneath?
I think that this might be below floor level.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think this might be a foundation. I can't say at the moment, but I suspect that, I mean, this isn't very rubbly, because if you look on that side of the wall, loose rubble, that might be protecting something underneath it. But here, I don't know if we'll find a floor. I mean,
Mark, can you see another face coming back?
Yeah, we haven't found one yet.
So we've got one face of the wall here.
Yeah.
So there has to be another face about where Mark was kneeling.
Yeah.
And then we might actually have intact Roman masonry going down to that level down there.
Yeah. And so any floor level or ground surface, hopefully, will be protected by the rubble on that side. But this higher up bit might have been kind of ploughed off or scoured off, because it's a little bit higher up.
One of the things I love about this is it gives a sense of the sophistication of the engineering of the architecture.
Oh, I think Mark's got something.
Oh, you've got
there.
is that?
That looks
there we go.
There we go. So that's, how thick's that? That's about 50 centimetres wide?
50 centimetres, yeah.
That's quite a substantial wall.
And tracing the line of the wall further on, it looks like there might be a corner. Further up the slope, the ditch in Trench 3 has yielded some interesting finds. A piece of box flue tile indicates that there was a room important enough to install Roman central heating, and a lovely little find of a more personal nature.
A tiny spoon! Look at that. I feel like I'm revealing too much, but that's a paltry quantity of pudding I'm going to get.
It does feel like it's makeup or medicine rather than pudding, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, pewter, I think, or something like that. So it would have been quite silvery and shiny when it was originally. There's a little bit of a glint on it even now. Beautiful. The handle going off there. I think it's my favourite find so far.
Yeah.
In the northeast corner of the building, Hilda is beginning to see some possible walls emerging, and a tantalising selection of finds.
So we've got some greyware, some Roman greyware.
Right, so these are from pots.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice pottery.
Beautiful, you can see the rim beautifully.
And then we've got some animal bone as well. Right here.
Are those teeth? Oh my God.
Yes. And then, interestingly, we've got some what looks like box flue tiles with nice grooves in it.
Right, so Carenza has one of these too, from a hypocaust.
Yeah, so that would suggest a heating system, possibly.
And therefore, rich people, big house. Even if we didn't know, rich people, big house, it would tell us what we needed.
But then the real kicker is over here.
Tesserae!
Yes.
Look at that, in loads of different colours.
Yeah. So we've got some red ones, some dark ones, some white ones. And I've been told that this is not natural for this area anyway, so this is
right, so these stones have been brought in to make a mosaic.
Yes, I mean, this has got to be the first mosaic trench that we've got now.
All this information is being fed back to Ray-San and Bridget in New Zealand, where Ray-San has been working on a 3D reconstruction using photogrammetry and the geophys.
And really what I've just been trying to play with is the fact that you're going to have different stages of build with different heights in different areas, but you can really see that fall off between the west and east, and how substantial, as I said, those ranges would be. It's quite a big structure. I think I keep going back to the east and the west ranges. The east range towards the river, you really are going to have steps coming down. You're going to have one of those little gateways and steps to actually change the level between the two areas.
Yeah.
And on the west, to get a single story on that front edge, by the time you've got the depth of the range, you've got to go down another story almost.
Yeah.
Unless you've done a massive amount of earthworks.
So we got some new GPR data from Jimmy, just so that you might find interesting here.
So the two bits that show up most substantially are the north and east ranges, very clearly in the GPR. The western range and the southern range are very ephemeral, if they're at all.
I'll have to think about this now.
I have to be honest, given what you could see, like his crop marks on the field, right from the very beginning. Sorry, Jimmy. I would have thought
you're not the
this
first
was
person
going to be a little bit more robust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there's probably more missing than we're seeing.
It seems only excavation can really tell us whether we have to downscale our expectations from the four-sided courtyard villa that Keith saw in the earthworks when he first located this site.
So you came here, looked through the hole in the hedge and saw the terracing, I guess, in the hillside here, knowing that the sarcophagus was over there.
Yes, well, walking onto a field like this, all the things that I was hoping for were straight in front of me. It looked like a plinth where it dropped off north and south and terraced right down towards the stream.
You can see those sort of terraces in the landscape really clearly from
really
here,
clearly. So I came back and walked it again, and the first thing I saw was hypocaust flue tile. So there I knew we've got a high status.
And how did you know what that was? Was that from Time Team as well?
No, I happen to have been the technical chairman of the Underfloor Heating Manufacturers Association. Oh. So I'm an expert in underfloor heating.
We found hypocaust in all of our trenches, suggesting that whoever lived here was high status. And one of the exciting things about this site is that we have an idea of who this person was. Keith is hoping he can pick up a signal from the lead lining inside the sarcophagus, believed to have contained the remains of a Romano-British lady. The coffin was disturbed by ploughing in the 1960s, and an unguent bottle that was found inside is now in the Ashmolean Museum. But it's not clear how much of the burial was excavated, whether it was reinstated, or even exactly where it was located.
Is that it, Keith?
That is it. We found her.
Wow.
Well, it's lead lined, so it's given a really big signal there.
Right. Can you tell which way? You know, one of the interesting things is east-west or north-south.
Yes, it's most definitely coming north-south here.
Right. Right.
Because I can tell just from the size of walking back That's definitely
yes,
on
it's
this
really
alignment.
long. Yeah.
But because we're on a hillside here, then she's going to be deeper into there. So I'm just picking up this part of the sarcophagus.
Yeah. She does really seem to be on the approach to the villa. The visibility is just amazing.
And how do we know that she was high status?
Well, it's the stone coffin, really. That's quite a lot of investment. Then there's the lead lining. That's expensive.
Effort.
I mean, and very, very heavy. I don't quite know how we're going to tackle the investigation of this. That's going to be a discussion for this evening, I think.
Okay.
And then she also had this glass bottle.
The unguent bottle.
Yes. Now, what is that? Because I must say, I don't have unguent in my bathroom.
You do have unguent, like a perfumed oil. So, you know, you might use it to make a body smell nicer, a living body, a dead body. And so, yeah, the Romans are mad for oil. They're always, they clean themselves with oil. You pour oil onto your skin and then have it scraped off along with all your grime.
Your unguent might be used for cleaning as well as
cleaning, fragrance, yeah, absolutely. So we don't think that any of this sarcophagus was exposed in the 60s apart from the top. So hopefully tomorrow we might be able to dig down a little bit and find out more about who she might have been.
So why was this young woman buried in this position? Was she alone or with others? And how big and ornate was the villa where she lived? And which, by the end of day one, we're beginning to reveal, terraced into the landscape of this beautiful part of Oxfordshire.
For exclusive insights, 3D models, Q&As and polls, please join Time Team on Patreon.